Good morning, folks. Welcome to another daily update. It's Wednesday, 22nd of April. Another beautiful day outside. I'm sort of forgetting what rain looks like at this stage. Loads to discuss today. And we'll begin with a very positive story that broke yesterday saying coronavirus vaccines were already at the stage of human trials. So the Health Secretary himself announced this yesterday afternoon, stated that 20 million quid would be handed over to the team from Oxford University who were doing this really significant work. From what I believe, it would normally take over a year to reach this kind of stage, and yet they've developed it within a number of weeks. And Matt Hancock said that it would be trialled this Thursday, that's tomorrow, so I suppose only time will tell at this point. Now, I have absolutely no idea if this should get our hopes up or not. It seems, on one hand, crazily early after so many experts had said that, developing this kind of vaccine would take 18 months or so. But we just have to wait and see what happens. We can pray, though. We can be active. Let's pray that this vaccine works and that people's lives will be saved, because that's what's at stake here. In other news, we're seeing the start of what is going to be possibly a regular thing in the coming months and even years. Journalists combing back through all the various decisions that were made and finding out mistakes that happened. Today, the story is emerging that the UK had a chance to join a European Union scheme to get access to more medical equipment earlier on in the process, but for one reason or another, they did not do so. And so journalists are beginning to ask all kinds of questions as to why this was the case and who made these decisions and so on. So we're going to hear these kind of stories again and again in the future. And I suppose I honestly just wonder, is it helpful? What do these kind of stories actually achieve? I'm not saying that the UK government are perfect and every decision they made was flawless. Not at all. In fact, there can be no doubt whatsoever that mistakes will have been made, since this was all just so unprecedented and out of the blue. But the same applies surely everywhere in the world. Every government, every political leader has made some kind of mistake in handling this. No one has dealt with it all perfectly, and nor could they have. We're human beings, we're limited in our knowledge, we're limited in our wisdom, and I can only imagine how difficult it must be to make decisions that impact millions of people in an entire nation during such a serious health crisis. And yet, I understand that these things need to be assessed, and we need to go back and look and then learn from mistakes that were made for the future. But what I don't like is the inevitable blame culture that goes along with it. Maybe you feel differently, maybe you feel strongly the other way, that anyone who made mistakes needs to be held to account for their actions and maybe lose a job or at the very least answer for why they did what they did. Let me know what you think in the comments below. In other news, another fascinating insight into sort of the mindset of our culture. An entire state in America, I think it's Missouri, is suing the Chinese government, claiming that they've deceived and lied to the world about the virus in the beginning. And we're also seeing stories emerge, sadly, of heightened racism towards Chinese people. I think particularly in Australia this was happening. And this is where we need to be kind of careful here. There's so much hope that came out of this whole scenario. So much hope and optimism about how one thing that might emerge is that people would be more humble, that communities would be strengthened, people would be brought together in all of this. And yet already we're seeing one or two signs of how that may not be the case, as we maybe blame others for mistakes, or as we target entire races of people for the mistakes that a government has made. And this is really the story of human history, isn't it? It's good versus evil. It's the story as old as time itself. And this is where I'm so thankful that our great God is only good. 1 John chapter 1 says that God is light. In him there is no darkness at all. So our God is like the opposite of humanity when it comes to this kind of thing. Within God there is no wrestling between good and evil. Our God does not know sin. God describes himself to Moses in the book of Exodus as slow to anger, abounding in love and faithfulness, maintaining love to thousands, and forgiving wickedness, rebellion, and sin. See, our God is one of grace and mercy and forgiveness. These are the characteristics that he is marked by. And Romans 3 very clearly tells us that nobody is perfect. No one in the world, no human being who's ever lived is perfect. No one is righteous, not even one. We're told we all sin, Paul says. We all make mistakes. We all fall short of God's glory, God's standard of goodness. But the Bible also reassures us that God forgives. See, God is not in the business of holding our mistakes over our heads. In fact, it's the opposite. He's not going to blame us for our mistakes as long as we put our faith in Jesus and what he has done for us. So Psalm 103 says so beautifully, as far as the east is from the west, so far has God removed our transgressions from us. God promises not to hold our mistakes over us, but to remove them from us. How? Well, Romans 3 goes on to tell us by faith in Jesus, we're given a gift, a free gift. It's the gift of his righteousness, that is his goodness, his perfection, or his right standing. And we wear that gift like a robe or a gown around us. And so Paul later says in Colossians 1, when we do that, God sees us as holy, blameless, and free from accusation. What a God we have, compassionate and kind, loving and gracious. Folks, whatever you do today, wherever you go, remember the Lord is with you. Until tomorrow, stay safe, and as ever, God bless.